Hi everyone, I Meenal Verma is back with another video, and today we are going to learn immunosuppressant drugs. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for the further notification. So let's start immunosuppressant drugs. These are the drugs which are active against T cell and B cell. Their main role is to inhibit the T cell activation and B cell activation. They have a detailed classification, so let's see. They are the calcineurin inhibitors, cyclosporin, tacrolimus, mTOR inhibitors, sirolimus and everolimus, anti-proliferative drugs like azathioprine, methotrexate, chlorambucil, cyclophosphamide, mycophenolate mofetil, glucocorticoids, prednisolone and many others. Biological agents, TNF-alpha inhibitors, that is etanercept, infliximab, adalimumab, IL-1 receptor antagonist, anakinra, IL-2 receptor antagonist, daclizumab, basilizumab, anti-CD3 antibodies, morumunab, CD3 and polyclonal antibodies, anti-thymosid antibody, pro-D-immunoglobulin. So this is a detailed classification. Now let's see each and every drug specifically and let's see what is the mechanism of action behind each of the drug. So the first drug is from calcineurin inhibitors, cyclosporin. It is obtained from fungus. It inhibits the T lymphocyte proliferation as well as interleukin-2 cytokine production, all are inhibited. They have no effect on the suppressor T cells. And the main point for cyclosporin is they are first choice for graft rejection and they are nephrotoxic. These are the adverse effects for this drug. Now let's see what is the mechanism of action of cyclosporin. So this is the CD4 molecule and this is the T cell receptor. When CD4 molecule are attached to T cell, it forms this. And when MHC2, that is major histocompatibility complex 2, bind to this receptor, they form an active T cell. That is T cell within CD4 and MHC2 bound to it. They form the activated T cell. This activated T cell has main role in conversion of PLC to phosphorylates the PLC. So this PLC is now converted into PIP2. This PIP2 is converted into either DAG, diacylglycerol, or IP3, inositol triphosphate. This is converted into CAM plus calcium, that is calmodulin and calcium bound. DAG is converted into PKC and this converts into various MAP kinase for further activity. This complex bounds to a calcineurin enzyme. So this calcineurin is serine threonine phosphatase. So this causes activation of NF80 to NF80. This phosphorylate NF80 is converted into simpler NF80 which is involved in the production of interleukin-2. This interleukin-2 is essential for the T cell proliferation and multiplication and differentiation. Now what happens when cyclosporin comes? This cyclosporin is majorly acting on this cyclophilin. This cyclophilin, when bound to cyclosporin, gets activated. This activated form comes and bound to this calcineurin. This calcineurin is, as you know, this has a main receptor activity for NF80 activation, and this NF80 activation is now inhibited. Since this process is inhibited, no further production of interleukin-2, no T cell multiplication differentiation and no T cell activation and immune response generated. This is the immunosuppressant action of cyclosporin. Cyclosporin also acts on another receptor, that is TGFB, that is transforming growth factor beta. This is mainly directly acting on the interleukin-2. Since interleukin-2 directly inhibited by this TGFB, no T cell multiplication and differentiation. This is the major. NF80 means nuclear factor of activated T cell. MHC major histocompatibility complex class 2. T cell here is T helper cell and CD4 means cell differentiation 4. The next drug from the calcineurin inhibitors is tacrolimus. Tacrolimus is 100 times more potent than cyclosporin. It is the best for liver transplants and it also shows nephrotoxicity, diarrhea and alopecia. So what tacrolimus do? Tacrolimus, let's see, this is tacrolimus. When it bound to FKBP protein, that is FK506 binding protein, then it calls calcineurin is again the same protein on which the cyclophilin was acting. This is the same serine threonine phosphatase. So on this, FKBP goes and bound. This binding of tacrolimus and FKBP on the calcineurin cause the inhibition of T cell proliferation. So cause the T cell differentiation is inhibited, and so no immune activity is seen and no activation of T cell. This is all about the tacrolimus. Now let's see mTOR inhibitors, that is sirolimus and everolimus. Both are active by the same mechanism of action. Let's see what is the action for this. Let's say this is the mTOR inhibitors, and they are also acting on FKBP protein, that is FK506 binding protein. They, when bound to this, they directly act on mTOR, that is mammalian target of rapamycin. This is the receptor on which they bind, and as soon as they bound to it, they cause inhibition of IL-2 activation, that is interleukin 2 is not activated now. Since you know interleukin 2 is very much required for the T cell proliferation, so the T cell proliferation differentiation also stopped. So no immune activity is seen. Now let's see what are things are there given for mTOR inhibitors, that is meal reduce absorption of mTOR inhibitors. They cause thrombocytopenia. They suppress the bone marrow. Their T half is the longest one, that is 60 hours. They are active for patient developing renal toxicity by calcineurin. There are many stents which are coated with this sirolimus and everolimus and to reduce the coronary artery retinosis. So they are widely used. So the next category is anti-proliferative drugs, that is they are cytotoxic drugs. The first one is azathioprine. It is an inflammatory bowel disease used and rheumatoid arthritis used. So they are widely used in these two diseases, as well as they are a good immunosuppressants. So let's see how they act. So the azathioprine is actively converted into 6-mercaptopurine. This is the active form of azathioprine. This active form is converted by the enzyme TPMT, that is thiopurine methyl transferase. This is very important enzyme for the conversion. Now this mercaptopurine is involved in various processes like de novo protein synthesis, T cell differentiation, as well as cytolytic lymphocytes. Since they are the active conversion to this cause cytolytic lymphocyte means no T cell proliferation. That means inhibit T cell differentiation, and that if de novo purine synthesis is inhibited, then damage to the DNA. They are the purine antimetabolites. Next is methotrexate. They comes in the category of folate antagonist. What are they doing? They inhibit the dihydrofolate reductase enzyme, and this dihydrofolate reductase enzyme is necessary for the conversion of dihydrofolic acid to tetrahydrofolic acid. So this process is inhibited, as well as when MTX, that is methotrexate, enters inside the cell, it gets converted into polyglutamate form by the enzyme polyglutamate synthase. If it is converted into this form, they convert into de novo synthesis as inhibitor. Since no de novo synthesis, then that means there is damage to the DNA. Since T cell and B cells, they don't have another pathway, that is salvage pathway. Since de novo purine synthesis is the only pathway for their production, and if this would be inhibited, then T cell differentiation proliferation will not take place. And this dihydrofolate reductase also has decreased cytokine production. Cytokine production decrease, which means decreased cellular immunity. Next, fosfamide. It is for short course treatment, and it again converted into the active form in the liver, that is aldofosfamide or phosphoramide mustard. And they are acting on the B cell and humoral immunity, not on T cell. So this is the important point to learn for them, is they are active against B cell. Now let's see chlorambucil. They act on the lymphoid tissue. They are the slow alkylating agent and a weak immunosuppressant. Since they are weak immunosuppressant, their use is rare or least. Chlorambucil is a drug of choice for lymphatic leukemia as well as non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Now next is mycophenolate mofetil. Mycophenolate mofetil is another activated into mycophenolic acid in liver, which is the active form of this. Now how they act? They directly inhibit the adenosine monophosphate dehydrogenase. When this enzyme is inhibited, the de novo synthesis is again inhibited. So inhibition of de novo synthesis of guanosine nucleotide in T and B cell occur. No other pathways like salvage pathway in T and B cell, therefore no guanosine is formed. Since this occurs, the lymphocyte production is also inhibited. That is, no T and B cell for the immune activity. Now this is a very good point that mycophenolate mofetil plus glucocorticoid plus sirolimus, they are a great in combination and they are a non-nephrotoxic combination and widely used. Now let's see the next category, that is glucocorticoids. So how glucocorticoids act? They inhibit the MHC expression. Since MHC expression does not take place, as we have seen earlier, when MHC get bounced to the T cell, then activation of T cell occurs. No MHC expression, that is no activation of T lymphocyte, and that is no expression of interleukin and cytokine gene, as we have already seen in the diagram when I was explaining you about calcineurin. Now let's see the important for glucocorticoid is they are more active against CMI and less on humoral immunity, that is cell mediated immunity, not humoral immunity, means they are less effective on humoral immunity. Glucocorticoid inhibits this MHC expression. Since this MHC expression does not take place, this T cell activation would not take place and further activity will also inhibit it, that is no T cell multiplication and differentiation. Now the last category is biological agents. There are various classifications, out of which we have seen that TNF alpha inhibitors were etanercept, infliximab and adalimumab. So let's say this is the macrophage. This macrophage releases TNF alpha as well as various TNF alpha receptors. This TNF alpha locates on the neutrophils, fibroblasts, endothelial cells, also in some amounts in serum and serous fluids. Now since this TNF alpha is inhibited, then the activation of these cells would not take place. Now TNF alpha also releases collagenase and metalloproteinase for immune inflammation. Since this TNF alpha is inhibited, no release of these enzymes and no immune inflammation would take place. That is, immune suppression will occur. So this etanercept causes TNF alpha inhibition. Basically, it is a fusion protein of human TNF receptor with the Fc portion of IgG1 immunoglobulin. Let's see infliximab. Infliximab is a chimeral monoclonal antibody, and this antibody is again binding on TNF alpha and inhibiting this TNF alpha. Since this will be inhibited, no activation of various cells like this, lymphocytes no activation, and immune inflammation would not take place. Now let's see adalimumab. It is a human recombinant anti-TNF alpha antibody. So this antibody also does the same work as infliximab and no immune inflammation. Next is anakinra, belonging to the category of interleukin-1 receptor antagonist. So this interleukin-1 receptor, let's say this is the anakinra and this is the interleukin-1 receptor. On this, when it binds, then it causes helper cell activation inhibited, that is no immune response will be generated. Next is daclizumab and basilizumab. They belong to the category of interleukin-2 receptor antagonist. So basically what they does is, let's say basic, that is active T cell when bound to CD25 provides a receptor for the interleukin-2. That means when active T cell has CD25, it provides a receptor for interleukin-2, which when bind to interleukin-2, when bind to this CD25, then cause the activation of these T cell and then cause the proliferation and differentiation of T cell. If this daclizumab and basilizumab is given, they cause the inhibition of this CD25. Since this CD25 antibody is in CD25 antibody bind to CD25 inhibits this antibody, no receptor formation for interleukin-2, no activation of T cell, no proliferation and no differentiation, no immune response. Next category is anti-CD3 antibody. In this, the class is moromonab CD3. So this muromonab is a murine monoclonal antibody. It is acting on a CD3 glycoprotein. So where is CD3 glycoprotein? This is a T cell receptor on which one side is CD4 T cell and another side is CD3 glycoprotein. This muromonab binds on this CD3 and obstruct the MHC2 antigen. As we have seen already, when MHC2 bound to T cell, then activation of T cell occurs. Since no MHC2 bind to this, because of the activation of CD3, muromonab attachment to CD3 inhibits the MHC2 antigen, no antigen recognition and no T cell activation and no immune response. Basically, they deplete the T cell from donor bone marrow. This has a great importance, as well as they are one of the oldest antibody used. As well as the cytokine release syndrome is seen basically when they were given primarily, and this means the initial dose when given, it was observed they have a flu-like symptom. But basically after giving the next doses, it was recoverable. Next one is polygonal antibodies, that is anti-thymosate globulin. They are the antibodies which are directly obtained from the horse and rabbits, since they are acting against CD antigen, that is cell differentiation antigen, and HLA antigen. Since they won't be able to identify the antigen, no activation of immune system and no inflammation would occur. These are used basically for steroid resistant cases. Next is anti-D immune globulin, the last category. That is, these both are belonging to the polygonal antibodies. This anti-D immune globulin is obtained from the human immunoglobulin, that is IgG. This antibody directly acting on the rhesus D antigen. Now basically there are two types of rhesus positive and rhesus negative. When this anti-D immunoglobulin bind to this Rho gene, then inhibit the antibody formation in Rh negative individuals. Basically, when the woman who is Rh negative give birth to Rh positive child, then the immune response can be activated by the woman and the T cell and B cell may be activated against the own fetus and the death of the child can take place. So this drug is usually given within 72 hours of the childbirth, since no antibody formation occurs in the Rh negative individual. No antibody formation occurs in the blood of the mother against the fetus. So this was all about the immunosuppressant drug, and the whole story for immunosuppressant drug goes around this chart. So you have to check out it again and again and properly. And this was all about immunosuppressant drugs, and don't forget to like my video, comment on it and share it. Thank you for watching my video.